What's up, you filthy maggot? It's your boy Andy, aka Coach Taters. I'm on a mission to help people like you look like they train as hard as they do. Today I want to talk about what I've got coming up with my training, what I've been training towards, and what my plans are afterwards. And I'm going to be talking about different performance-related goals and body composition-related goals and how I'm trying to weave those in together so that I can perform well inside and outside the gym while also maintaining or continuing to build a muscular, lean physique. So in 8 days, I'm going to be running the first half marathon that I have done in the last 12 years. I am 12 years older and I am about 12 kilograms heavier than I used to be. And so it's got its own set of challenges, but training's been going pretty well. I've been running 4 days a week. I've been lifting 4 days a week, and I'll get onto that in a minute, but we are in taper mode right now. So we are reducing training volume and we are getting ready to be in peak physical condition for the half marathon, the BMO Vancouver Half Marathon. About 12 years ago, my personal best was about 1 hour 36 minutes, I believe, and I'm going to be nowhere near that right now. So what has my training looked like in the lead up to this? Well, I started running about a year ago. I started doing zone 2 training and I started to build in some intensity alongside lifting. The thing that I've been struggling with is navigating both lifting and running and combining those two things together. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've been burnt out. Part of that's going to be because I'm a 37-year-old dad of 2 young children, and so recovery is probably my biggest issue. But as time has gone on, I've learned how to navigate both of those things, and I've ended up more recently doing 4 lifting sessions a week plus 4 runs a week. So that's 8 sessions. I spread that across 6 days. On Mondays, it's a double session. I'll hit upper body for strength in the gym, and I'll follow that up with some running intervals that are short and sharp that get me used to running fast. Tuesday, I hit up lower body. Wednesday, I hit up a tempo run. Session's about an hour. Thursday, I hit up upper body. Friday, I hit up lower body and a slow zone 2 jog. And then Saturday is my long run, which I'll do some race pace stuff and then the rest of it in zone 2. And honestly, what's really ended up happening is I'll usually end up training 3 days a week in the gym. It will be upper body, lower body, full body, because either there's been a stat holiday or one of my kids has been sick, or I felt a bit burnt out and have had to adjust it based on how I've been feeling on the day and what I have available in terms of time. So that's what it's kind of ended up being. Ideally, when I'm not so close to race day, I'll be getting those 4 lifts in. That helps me maintain my muscle mass and maintain a certain look of showing up for the gym. How have I changed my training up as I enter this taper phase? A taper is basically where you're reducing training volume and some intensity so that you can perform your best on race day. Because you don't want to be going into your race with accumulated fatigue. I've been training 4 lifts a week, 4 runs a week, and over time you accumulate a lot of fatigue, and you want to try and let that fatigue subside so that you can go into race day feeling your absolute best. Because oftentimes during training you can feel like, oh my goodness, this is a bit of a slog, but chances are you're feeling that because you have been putting your body through a lot of work. So for the training, I've dropped it down to 2 sessions a week. I've dropped down from 3 sets to 1 working set, especially in this final week coming up. Instead of doing 3 working sets, drop it down to 1. I don't even go that close to failure. I go around 3 reps in reserve. So my training sessions are literally in and out the gym super quick without it being too fatiguing. I'm just mostly trying to keep the habit of getting in the gym whilst maintaining the muscle mass and strength that I've built over the last few months. On the running side of things, I've been doing around 40 to 50 kilometers per week in terms of training volume, and that is getting reduced down to about 30 to 35 kilometers per week. The longest run that I did was a 2-hour zone 2 run. I ended up doing about 18K. I did do 16K with my friend at somewhat close to race pace. I dropped down those longer runs from 18K to around 10K. Today is my last run and I'm going to go out for about 75 minutes as opposed to the 2 hours that I would usually go for. This is my first time doing a taper. When I used to run 12 years ago, I never purposely did a taper. In fact, if I look at my training structure 12 years ago, it was ridiculous. And I don't know how I got away with it. I guess youth, me being able to sleep in for like 10 hours a day. I had a lot of recovery back then, but bad structured training. Fast forward to now, and my structure in training is so much better, but my recovery is much worse. So I'm learning a lot, and sometimes the hard way, about how to navigate lifting and running together and how to do things like a taper week and how to work on fueling on race day for the half marathon. And one thing that I've learned is that you still want to keep some intensity on the runs because you want to be emulating your race day pace. So you want to keep up with that, but the overall volume, the amount of kilometers that you do in a week and per session gets reduced so that you don't accumulate so much fatigue. So my expectations for the half marathon. So there was a bombshell dropped yesterday. My training partner and friend who I was going to run the half marathon with messaged me. He's sick. His training hasn't been going very well. And he wants to reduce the pace. We were going to aim for a pace of 5:13 per kilometer to get it in under 1 hour 50 minutes. He has basically said he wants to reduce his pace down to 5 minutes 30 per kilometer and finish under the 2-hour mark. He thinks that's what's going to be realistic for him based on how he's been able to train and his overall health because he's currently sick. Now this guy is 230 pounds of pure duty dench. And honestly, I've been super impressed with how he's been able to keep up with the running. I've been running 4 days a week. He's run literally once a week, but he's done some zone 2 incline walks. 230 pounds, pretty muscular guy. And honestly, I'm impressed with how he's been able to keep up, really. I'm nervous because now, instead of having to stick at a certain pace and have someone else there holding me accountable, I've got free reins to go and do whatever I want. And so maybe I could run slightly quicker than the 5 minutes 13 that we had planned. I'd recently done a 10K in about 48 minutes something. So I can run under 5 minutes per kilometer, but it's about whether I can keep that up and hold on to that pace for a half marathon. I don't bloody know, but I'm nervous about it. The course is a very big, steep downhill to start off for the first 3 kilometers, and then it flattens out. There's a few uphills, and where I train, it's very flat. So it's kind of unknown, uncharted territory for me. So I'm just going to basically start on the hill, maybe 5 minutes to 5:05 per kilometer. You let gravity do its thing and pull me down the hill. Try not to get too excited because I know so many people are going to be flying down that hill. But what I want to happen is I want to get to the point later in the race where I'm overtaking people and I'm operating a negative split, which means I do the second half of the race faster than I did the first half. And I want to start reeling people in because it's way more motivating to be overtaking people than it is to be getting overtaken in the later stages. That is demoralizing. So I have to be careful on that first downhill and then try and settle into a steady pace. I don't think 1 hour 45 minutes is, I think it's possible, but I don't know how realistic it is whilst I have to navigate the hills, which I'm not really used to because I live in this flat area. So we'll bloody see, won't we? So honestly, anything from 145 to 150, I will be happy with. Now, another thing, I have not worn these shoes, right? I bought these carbon plated shoes and I had basically decided not to wear these on race day. And the reason being is because I was going to be running it with my 230 pound friend. Chances are he would have been the slighter, weaker link. And I thought I will save these for another half marathon that I've got in June. But now I'm running on my own. I've only got a week to potentially test and try these. I don't know if I'm leaving it a little bit too late. I don't want to have too much stress to deal with on race day and have to deal with more unknown things. But I might give these a go this week. These ones are the old carbon Bloody can't even bloody move them, mate. I've not worn these yet. These are just for show in my background. So physique update. How am I feeling about my overall physique? I feel fine. I have not prioritized staying lean or trying to be in the calorie deficit. I've been eating to maintain, and I've done a pretty good job of maintaining. It feels like I'm eating a lot of food, but I'm accumulating like 40 to 50 kilometers per week of running, plus the lifting. I'm getting a lot of steps outside of that on my walking pad that's just down here as well. And so I'm getting through a lot of calories, and sometimes it feels like I'm eating a lot, but I'll get on the scale and I'm almost like one eye open looking at it, worried about what it's gonna say back to me. But I've been kind of holding steady between 177 and 180 pounds. I think in an ideal situation, I would like to bring that down to around 170 pounds at some point, and I would like to lean out a little bit more, but I'm not unhappy with how I look. I feel even better about how I'm performing right now. Now, with that said, when this half marathon is done, I've got 7 weeks until there's another half marathon. And my plan was to go into a very slight calorie deficit, maybe 400 to 500 calories per day. So about a pound a week for the first 4 weeks following my half marathon, this first one. So I could potentially drop 3 or 4 pounds because it's important for me to maintain a lean physique as well. Like, I'm all about the hybrid training, but it's not just about performance. I want to look good as well. Now, I'm not a genetic freak when it comes to looks. People have got more ripply six packs than me, but I still want to have that as a goal because I've been fat, and it makes me self-conscious, and I don't want to be fat, basically. So I'm in full performance mode, but still body composition is important. And so I do feel like I would like to be a little bit leaner, especially as summer's coming up. So I think a slight deficit as we get after this first half marathon is a good idea. Now, trying to navigate fat loss and performance is tough because you've got competing goals. You want to eat to perform, which means you want to eat maintenance or surplus even, but then you've got a calorie deficit to lean out. And so it's difficult to navigate, but if you can do it right, it is possible. So for this half marathon, anything between 145 and 150, I'll be very happy with. Then I've got another 7 weeks to continue training. And then I've got a different Vancouver marathon, which I would love to get sub 145 in that one. Another 7 weeks of training, maybe a small deficit in there. I don't know how that will impact things too much. Maybe I can do a little bit more hill specific training this time. And then after that, I've basically got a choice. I can either do another shortcut, try and get down to that 170 pounds. I want to get back onto 5K specific training. So I want to be able to try and get my 5K down under 20 minutes, which was my original goal and why I wanted to get back into running. But with this friend of mine who signed up for the half marathon, I thought, why the bloody hell not, you know? I have a potential of doing another half marathon in September. And the only reason I'm tempted to do that one is because it is in this area that I live, and on the same running path that I run on every single day. The only issue is it's like a big pirate run, it's called. And so I'll have to dress up somehow, maybe just a t-shirt or something, but like it feels weird going absolutely sending it on like a family fun run. Obviously, it's not just a family fun run if they're running a half marathon, but there's like a 5K, there's a 1K walk going on. So anyway, it just seems weird that I would just turn up and absolutely send it for the half marathon without dressing up or something as a pirate. But we can cross that bridge when we come to it. I think one thing that I would like to do is I'd like to lean out a little bit, and then in the winter coming up, still try and maintain some kind of aerobic base, maybe still work on my 5K, and maybe potentially go into a building phase where I'm trying to focus on building a little bit of muscle again. So if you're also trying to build performance and a body that looks like you train, make sure you're following because I've got a lot of content coming out exactly about this topic. And if you're interested in hybrid training, so am I. Not necessarily high rocks, but I'm trying to navigate both endurance and lifting so I can stay healthy, I can stay looking good for a long time. So make sure you're following and check out this video here where I go into detail on how to lose body fat.